wolves when they went hunting, thinking that it would bring them good luck. And I actually have a wolf pelt here. You guys can come up and touch it at the end. I'm not going to pass it around just because it's kind of big and long and I don't want to get it too dirty, okay? So at the end you guys can come up and touch it, but so you can see what a wolf pelt looks like. Mexican wolves, this is a Mexican wolf pelt. They're some brown, some gray, a little red. They all look different. Just like how your dogs are gonna have, your dogs at home probably have different markings, even if they're the same kind, right? Yeah. So the other thing we're gonna talk about here today, has anyone heard any other stories about wolves? Maybe ones with pigs? Go ahead.
The 3 little pigs.
The 3 little pigs, and what does the wolf and the 3 little pigs do? Go ahead. He hunts and he puffs and he blows their house down, right? Do you think a real wolf could do that? No, but what do wolves do that's kind of like huffing and puffing? Does anyone know?
Roar?
They don't roar. What do? They howl, yeah. So let's try something right now, okay? Can everybody howl with me? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good job, guys. That was a pretty loud howl, right? I mean, all of us howling together? That was pretty loud. Do you think they heard us across the way? No. Maybe they didn't hear us across the way. They might have heard us right over there. Now, if we were real wolves, how far away do you think they would have heard us? Really far. 10 miles away. On a good day, a wolf howl can travel 10 miles. That's about halfway across the city, if you guys know D.C. very well. So that's a really far distance. And wolves act, do you know how they use their howls?
To contact each
Go
other.
ahead.
To talk to other wolves.
To talk to other wolves. Wolves, because they travel in packs. You know, what do your families do? Where do your families live? You live in a house, right? Or an apartment or something like that? Or a condo? You know, wherever you live. You know how some people have fences? Wolves don't have fences, do they? No. So they use their howls to sort of mark off their territory. They can't use a fence. They can't build a fence. So instead they howl and let people know where they are. So that's a little bit about wolves, a little bit of background, some cool things. I mean, we can't howl that loud that people can hear us 10 miles away, right? So there are some cool things about wolves. And now how would I tell you a true story about wolves, right? Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, well our wolves here at the zoo are actually, they're Mexican wolves, as I said before. And they used to take up, you guys pass around this map, I'm going to show you. They used to take up most of Arizona, New Mexico, they used to all over Mexico, obviously, they're Mexican wolves. They used to take up a good portion of Texas. And about 40 years ago, which isn't that long ago, in the 1970s, who here remembers the 1970s? Raise your hands, don't be shy. Yeah, so a lot of your parents remember the 1970s. So it wasn't that long ago, there weren't any Mexican wolves in the wild. Isn't that crazy? No Mexican wolves in the wild? They were extinct in the wild. But where do you think there were still Mexican wolves? Go ahead. At the zoo, yes, you're right. At the zoo, there are still Mexican wolves at the zoo. So zoos all around the world, especially in the U.S., got together and they decided that they were going to breed the wolves that they have at the zoo. And these kinds of wolves are specially raised, so they don't come in contact with people. Because when the wolves are released, they don't want them to be approaching people for food or anything like that. They want them to be as natural as possible. And these wolves at all the zoos are intended to be reintroduced into the wild. And now there are about 50 wolves back in the wild. So there are only about 50. We have probably about 40 people here today. So this is about how many wolves there are, Mexican wolves there are in the wild right now. But they only take up this small little portion of Arizona and New Mexico. So I'm going to pass this around and you guys can see the difference in the sizes. And now, if people are reintroducing the wolves into the wild, and they want to make sure they're okay, they don't want the wolves to go extinct, how do you think they keep track of them? Go ahead. A radio collar, yeah, this is a radio collar. As you can see, this is how they keep track of the wolves in the wild. I'm sure your parents would like to have some of these for you, keep track of you guys at the zoo. So they can follow the wolves around, track them on their computers and on their radios. Make sure they're okay, make sure they're not getting into any trouble, and make sure they're nice and healthy. So I'll pass this around, you can see it. Maybe your parents want to try it on, see what size works for you guys. And so that's pretty much all we have to talk about here at the zoo today. Our Mexican wolves are actually intended for reintroduction. So they, or maybe even their children or their grandchildren, will one day be put back in the wild. So that's pretty cool, and you can check out our wolves down in Beaver Valley. If you just keep walking down Olmsted Walk, you'll see signs for it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the talk today. If you guys want to come up, if somebody has the skull and wants to bring it up to me so that everybody else can see it, and if you want to come pet the fur or have any questions, I'll be here to answer them.